A 1900 kilogram car is traveling along the road at a speed of 20 meters per second. The car hits a truck in front of it and stops over the course of 2.8 seconds. With what force did the truck stop the car? So this problem is an impulse problem, which means we should look and remember what our equations are for impulse. So remember, impulse is the change in momentum. So one of our equations is I is equal to delta P, which really means I is equal to your final momentum minus your initial momentum. Another equation we have for impulse is I is equal to force times the change in time. And last but not least, impulse is equal to mass times the change in velocity, which really means impulse is equal to mass times your final speed minus your initial speed. We have information here about speed, which allows us to use this final equation on the right-hand side, about mass, which also allows us to use this equation on the right-hand side, and we're overall looking for force when given a time, which allows us to use this middle equation. So what I'm going to do with these two equations is set them equal to each other. Since they both equal impulse, that means that this and this equal each other. So force times the change in time is equal to mass times the change in velocity. Now let's list our variables and start to figure out what we're looking for. So we are looking to find force. Our equation has time in it. Our equation has mass in it. And change in velocity, which we said is VF and VI. Force is what we're looking for. Time, the problem gives us as 2.8 seconds. Mass is 1900 kilograms. Final velocity is 0 meters per second because it stops. And initial velocity is 20 meters per second. Now, using the equation that I created by setting things equal to each other, I can solve for force. In order to do that, I'm going to need to rearrange a little bit by dividing each side by delta T. Now, the equation I'm really using is force is equal to mass times change in velocity over change in time. Let's plug some stuff in. So force is equal to my mass, 1900 kilograms, times my change in velocity. Change in velocity is V final minus V initial, so 0 minus 20, it's negative 20 meters per second, all over my change in time, which is the amount of time that passes, which in our case is 2.8 seconds. When I solve, I get a final force of negative 13,571.4 newtons.